Well, Larry, it's hard to imagine that you are actually going to retire from the deanship, but you'll never really be leaving the law school environment as long as you want to be here. As you know, the trustees support your continued contribution in as many ways as you wish to have. It's good that you'll be around to help Mike as he takes over and takes the law school into another generation and into an uncertain future. As we all know, the business of law, or the law school education business, has changed. Although I read in today's New York Times that maybe it's now starting to stabilize again and it will go up again. But I hope, excuse me, I hope that you enjoy every moment of the free time that you're going to have to do your reading, to travel, and to enjoy the Boston area, to enjoy your grandchildren and your children, and to continue to enjoy watching the law school and its students develop. I think I met Larry for the first time, for some reason, on the steps of the law library at the University of Michigan Law School. I really don't remember. Larry will remember, but I don't. Do you want to say it was love at first sight? I don't know. But we have been fast friends ever since that day. Both of our names ended with V, and the way the Michigan Law School worked, our classes were done alphabetically. So we shared a lot of classes together. And as many of you, I'm sure, have observed, Mr. Velvel was a nut in law school, as in many other endeavors that he has successfully achieved. He was a great student. You could never ask to copy his notes because nobody could read the hieroglyphics. They were ridiculous. But we became really good friends along with others, many of whom are trustees, like Mr. Tucker and Mr. Rothenberg and Herb Cohn. It's been a great ride ever since. Larry has always been a very unusual individual. I would say it's almost an understatement to say he's an extremist. It's amazing. When Larry got interested in something, it was a complete consummate involvement. I think I remember once he got interested in, maybe it was John Marshall, the first Supreme Court Justice. So he must have read around 40 books about John Marshall. And the same thing happened, regardless of what the subject was. When he started doing blogs, I mean, my God, he was the bloggiest blogger I've ever met, or seen, or read. Although the blogs were so long, it was sort of a threat against reading them. But it's just an unusual guy. And I think the school's success benefits a lot from that same drive and personality and ambition that Larry has expressed and utilized in virtually everything that I know that he has done in his life and in his career. So once again, I wish you very well in your retirement, and I certainly look forward to our remaining years of friendship.
Hi, Larry. It's one of your first students who entered Mass School of Law, and thinking back, I want to first thank you for taking the chance on me, because it was a chance at that time. I remember the first day coming into the law school for an interview. You told me to head into the other room and start stocking the shelves with books. And that was kind of my first day at law school, was putting books on the shelves as the shelves were going up, and remembering you telling me that, listen, we're going to give you a chance. You're not the greatest student that's ever entered our school, and that was early on. And I followed your lead and I worked hard, and I wouldn't probably be where I am today without the effort that you put into the law school. I know it took a lot of hard work, took a lot of your time and dedication, and to see what the school is today and what it was back then is remarkable. Although I will say It hasn't changed much in the type of person that you're looking for and the type of student that you're looking to have graduate from this school, looking for people to go on and help other people. And that's what I've tried to do. I've taken what I learned at this school. I've had a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for the school. I went on to the legislature, as you know, and I had an opportunity to help many, many people. And that was because of Mass School of Law, because of what you did and what you continue to do. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. I'm glad you didn't give up on the idea, and I'm glad you never gave up on the idea, even to this day. And without you, many people like myself wouldn't have had this opportunity to go on and help people in our community. So thank you.
Larry, our heartiest congratulations on behalf of the students, the faculty, alumni, and everybody who's been involved in the law school on a great, great success. You have accomplished in your time at MSL what few of us have accomplished in a lifetime, that you created high-quality, affordable education. It's a model that is being emulated all over the United States. You have great personal qualities. You've been a great friend, but there are some qualities that make this happen. You're highly principled, idealistic, persistent, creative, and those made the success in large part. So we wish you all the best. Thank you for all that you've done for MSL.
Lawrence R. Velvel is your dean.
He's your leader, he's our colleague, and our friend for almost 60 years.
Larry Velvel may be the most sui generis person we know.
So how do you describe this unique person?
Perhaps a picture really is worth 1,000 words. Larry Velvel is dynamic,
Exciting,
energetic.
ever alert.
Larry Velvel always keeps up with the latest legal developments.
Always looking over the horizon.
It's very important for a dean to have a good registrar to lean on.
Especially one you can share exciting moments with. Being founding dean of MSL has been a cross to bear.
Here he is with his faithful companion, Igor. Being dean of a law school is often a lonely journey. In 1963, trophy wives were much less expensive, or so we believed.
Larry Velvel has an insatiable hunger for knowledge.
Above all, and most important, Larry Velvel is our friend.
And Larry Velvel is truly an unforgettable treasure. Larry Velvel is a true iconoclast. His long-held views on legal education were put into practice, which is rare for an iconoclast to actually be able to accomplish your goals. He believed, correctly, that the LSAT was hardly the best and certainly not the most and only measurement to predict success as a student and certainly not as a lawyer. He believed that having only full-time professors who spent half their time teaching and half their time writing and had little or no practical experience was no way to educate prospective lawyers. He believed, therefore, that it was important to have abundant numbers of professors who had living practical experience either as lawyers or judges. He also believed that all the things that were required, that also required a lot of investment in bricks and mortar, unduly raised the cost of a legal education, making it unreachable by masses of people. And so he created Massachusetts School of Law, which has been an enormous success. It's provided thousands of people with an opportunity to accomplish their dreams to become a lawyer who wouldn't otherwise have been able to. And he was way ahead of his time, because now from President Obama on down, people are saying legal education has to be changed. It has to be shortcut. It has to be made less expensive. And Larry was ahead of the pack, and they're finally coming around to catch him. So he has made an indelible mark. You know, few of us can say at the end of our lives or end of our careers that we really made a difference in this world. Larry Velvel is one of those few.
I need to end this on a personal note. In addition to everything else that you've heard about Larry and his career tonight, Larry also was the most important person in my life. But for Larry Velvel, I would not have met Nancy, and I would not have married Nancy almost 55 years ago. Larry Velvel, therefore, is responsible for the happiest occasion that I have encountered so far.
Larry, it's really hard to believe that we met each other at the start of law school 55 years ago when we were both younger. It's also hard to believe we can still remember 55 years ago, okay? And I remember since we were alphabetized in our class, Rothenberg and Velvel and Victor and Tucker were all together the freshman year at Michigan Law School. It's been an incredible journey. First, we moved to Washington together from law school and lived in the same apartment project in Washington, D.C. And then I went off to private practice, and you continued the government, and then you went into private practice. And then, having had private practice and having taught, you decided to go up to Massachusetts, the Commonwealth School of Law, to be their dean. Only it didn't work. The man wasn't a very nice man. And so you decided that you were going to go out and form the Massachusetts School of Law. And I remember how we went together and we did the bylaws and the articles of formation, and I came up to Massachusetts to be with you to review the first building that Massachusetts School of Law moved into, and we've been together through thick or thin for all of these years. We had the ABA that we had to deal with because the ABA didn't realize how really progressive you were and how you were going to do things that nobody else did. And guess what? Now all the law schools are doing what you did to make things much more easier for students and much more internet accessible and the like. And as others have said, you were really at the forefront of everything. It didn't always inure to your benefit, and you really didn't care because you knew what you were doing was right. And it was extraordinary. And it's so proud for those of us who've been with you in this journey that it's unbelievable to see where we are. We have a recognized law school. We have an incredible group of students over the years. And Larry, it's your foresight and your endurance that really have done it. I'm very proud, one, to call you a good friend, two, to call you a colleague, and three, to have been associated with you and Massachusetts School of Law all these years. It's been wonderful, and I want to congratulate you on everything you've done. Thank you.
Hey, Larry. What can I say? I was asked to say a couple of things about our time together at MSL, and I thought, what do you say to Larry Velvel? I mean, he's the guy that says it all, you know. So I wanted to thank you at least for the 6 years that I was an employee of the school. Obviously, my 3 years as a student, and the time that I've had as an adjunct professor and now as a trustee for the school. But I thought the most fitting way to thank you would be really to show you, or at least to tell you a brief story about what MSL has meant to me. And I've told the story many, many times, and as everyone who knows me knows, I don't tell very long-winded stories. So I'll try to keep it short. I was at a party on my graduation day from college, and I had opened all my presents, and I had prepared a present for my father. And I handed it to my dad, and he opened it, and he started crying. And it was a framed acceptance letter to Mass School of Law. And I said to my dad, "Dad, you know, I'm sure you're proud, but I don't want you to cry." And he said, "I'm not crying because I'm proud. I'm crying because I've just realized you're going to be living with me for the next 3 years and how hard that's going to be." And he had the ability to actually know how hard that was going to be because he had been a student of yours at MSL as well. And the fact that I had him as an inspiration to show me at 42 years of age, you can do anything you want, I was able to follow my dream and become a lawyer as well. And part of that dream was working with all of you and becoming a major part of the MSL family, and MSL becoming a major part of my family at that time and ever since. The extent to which MSL has been instrumental in my life is something that I really can't quantify. The lawyer that I am today, the practice that I own today, the folks that I have used as mentors along the way, Mike Coyne, Todd Previtt, Brianna Coakley, my father, all of whom have graduated from the Mass School of Law, all of whom had the opportunity to graduate from that school because of your vision. Those folks are my family in as much as Mass School of Law was my family as a law student and as an employee of yours. And it is obviously as a result of your vision and dedication that we have everything that we have today. There's no way for me to thank you for that in a 5-minute video. And I think the best way for me to do that, and the best way for all of us to do that, is to continue in our practices and to do for others the way that you have done for us and so many others in your time. So if I had a hat on, it would be off to you. I really appreciate everything that you've done, the opportunities that your work have provided for me as a beneficiary. There is no way for me to properly thank you except to say, thanks so much. You're the best. Thank you.
Well, hello, Dean. This is Douglas Martin, and I'm very honored and proud to be a part of MSL and the legacy that you've left. I've been asked to say a little something about your legacy, and here goes. What I believe is that you've created this legacy of Davids. You have taught us that we're David, and we have that spirit to slay Goliath. And I believe that the MSL culture has instilled a confidence in us that allows us to go out there and slay the most talented lawyer, or the so-called most talented lawyer, the biggest firms, to fight with that MSL spirit. And I believe that although you'll be physically gone, your legacy will live on. And whenever I find myself in a tough situation, I just think about the spirit of David, what you left in me. And I believe that most of the students here are developing that spirit. Whether they know it or not, they are. And one day they'll find themselves in a situation where they'll say to themselves, hey, I have the spirit of David in me. And that's from the dean. That's been cultivated with MSL and by MSL. So when I think about MSL and what it has done for me and what it means to me, a piece of the poem by Emma Lazarus, I should say, that's on the Statue of Liberty comes to mind. And what that poem, the piece that I'm discussing, essentially says is, give me your tired, give me your poor, give me your huddled masses that have a yearning to breathe free. And that's what MSL is. You take us in and you cultivate this talent, and you give us the strength, the belief, the power. You cultivate us into excellent practitioners, excellent lawyers, excellent writers, excellent thinkers. And the beauty of MSL is that the school has taught us how to think outside the box. You've also taught us how to master what we need to master, but the beauty that I keep near and dear to my heart is how to effectively think on my feet, how to pivot at a moment's notice, and to think outside the box. So I have that within me, and I know a lot of other MSL grads have that spirit within them as well. And I just want to say one other thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. For every great man we see, you always hear saying that there's a great woman that stands behind that man. And I believe that great woman is your lovely wife, Louise Rose. I like to consider her to be the premium oil that keeps the engine running smoothly, all cylinders, if I will. So she's in the background, and although you're going forward, I do believe that she has played an instrumental role in this school running smoothly as well. So, hey, you're a trailblazer, and you have blazed the trail quite well, and you've left a legacy, and I'm proud to be a part of that legacy. So all I can say is, muchas gracias. Thank you so much for all that you've done for me, my family, and for the other MSL grads.
When we started the law school, we needed a leader, and boy, did we find one. We found someone who was fearless, who was strong, who was smart, and who could lead us to what we've now accomplished. I'm going to tell you 3 quick stories about Larry, and they'll all be PG, but with a little bit of amber liquid, I could tell you a bunch more. You know, there's few lawyers who try cases who have never lost a case. Larry is one of the few lawyers in this world who you would find who tried a case and won the case, and not just won it, but it was one of the proudest accomplishments of my life and my experience with Larry, is that at the time we went to Philadelphia, we were there for 3 months, he led the plaintiffs to victory, and at the time it was over a $700 million judgment. The time, the second largest antitrust judgment of all time. For that, he is the only trial lawyer to ever have won all of his cases, and that's something that we should all remember him for. Another story that I think is important to remember is Johnny Cochran, the year he got O.J. Simpson the not guilty verdict. The National Law Journal tried to figure out who would be the top lawyers of that time period. And while Johnny Cochran won, the person that came in second that year is your Dean Larry Velvel. And it's for all of his accomplishments, not just the iron ore cases, but these cases against the American Bar Association that we all joined and we fought. And we all have the scars to prove the viciousness of those fights and the principle that was at stake. And that's the thing about Larry more than anything else, is that it's always a principled fight. It's always a fight for what's right, for what's just. And the fact is that over all of this period of time, he has fought, he has led us to try and make sure that we provide opportunity for students and really make it a fun learning experience, and really, really show that if people work extraordinarily hard, they can accomplish whatever they want. And last, I want to tell you something about Larry that probably most people don't get to realize, but everyone in this building, certainly all of the staff and the employees who have worked for him for all these years, recognize, is that Larry is one of the most generous people that you could ever imagine in your life. He is kind of spirit, he is warm. If any of us ever had issues with our children or our spouses or someone was sick, Larry was the first one to be on the phone. He was the first one to be there. I know sometimes because of his gruff exterior, people don't recognize how warm and generous of a guy he is. But I can tell you in my experience, as both a mentor, as a friend, as my boss, as my colleague, that I couldn't have asked for more in the last 30 years than to have worked with him and have accomplished the professional level of accomplishment that few could imagine, that certainly I couldn't have imagined when I came out of law school. And for that, I am eternally grateful to you, Larry, and you know you'll always be here. So I appreciate all of that. And lastly, I want to toast to Larry, and I know we're going to toast to him shortly. We're probably going to toast using champagne, but Larry's not a champagne type of guy. Larry's a bourbon or whiskey guy. He's hot to the touch, he goes down hard, he leaves a lasting impression, and he's one of the greatest guys that I've ever met in my life. To you, Larry.
I've known Larry Velvel for 28 years. I was an adjunct professor at Commonwealth School of Law when Larry was hired as the dean. A lot of strange things had happened at Commonwealth. So those of us, both students and faculty who were serious about legal education, were thrilled when he was hired, as he had the credentials, the expertise, and the experience to run a law school, unlike the president, Michael Boland. Still stranger and crazy things happened after he was hired, and a group of us, professors and students, led by Larry, decided to leave and open our own law school in 1988. We had started meeting at a pub in Lowell to plan our new school. At the time, I did juvenile cases in Lowell and in Ayer, and really liked the presiding judge in Ayer and wanted to introduce Larry. Now, at the time, I was in awe of Larry. I thought of him as this hotshot from D.C. who argued cases before the Supreme Court. So I thought, well, wow, I can impress him by introducing him to Judge Williams, who not only liked me, but also was a man of stature, a great intellect. So Larry and I planned to go meet him. On the day we were going, Larry asked me to pick him up. I gulped. My car needed work done, and I was driving my then husband's huge F-150 Ford truck. I had to jump to get up into it. I was so embarrassed to pick up the dean of the law school in this old heap. But I did, and for those of you that know the town of Ayer, it's country all the way. We had a great meeting with Judge Williams. I wanted to get him involved with the law school, but sadly he passed away soon afterwards. On the way back, Larry was looking out the window at all the farms and said something like, "So Paula, you really are a country lawyer." But he said it in a way that I realized he was actually complimenting me and interested in my law practice. He was also interested in my growing up in an immigrant Greek family, going to state college rather than Ivy League, and working hard to get where I was. And that became the mission of MSL, giving people a chance to become lawyers, regardless, and I say even because of, where they come from.
After nearly 30 years, I have a lot of stories, like the time Kurt, Larry, and I were out in Larry's boat on Lake Winnipesaukee. Kurt was driving when he hit a rock and ruined Larry's boat. I remember thinking, oh my God, but Larry could not have been more gracious. Or the time, it was a few days after the fire over at Dundee Park. Larry was cautioning me about staying late at night, particularly being there alone, saying, "You don't know everybody that's here, Diane." And I can remember I rolled my eyes, and he said, "Let me show you." He said, "Who's that guy sitting over there?" I said, "I don't know. I think he's some lawyer from town, probably looking something up." So Larry proceeds to go over and say, "Sir, identify yourself." The guy then stands up, he jumps on the chair, he springs up onto the desk and he says, "I am a certified lifeguard, sir, and I'm here to save you." Oh, Lord. Well, I want to be serious for a moment. To both Larry and Mike, I want to say, for all that you have done for me and you continue to do for me, for who you both are, I will be forever grateful to you both. You have changed my life and the life of my family in such significant ways. I truly admire and respect, and I thank both of you. So after nearly 30 years, it has been fun, it has been rewarding, and again, I thank you.
Larry, it's a great honor for me to be here today. I've had the great fortune of attending Massachusetts School of Law. I also graduated from Boston College, and going to MSL was a tremendous experience for me. It gave me a great deal of strength and perseverance to go forward as a lawyer in the tough times in the late 1980s, in the early 1990s. And the school was going through a great deal. I can recall back in the late 1980s, maybe around 1988, 89, when we were going through the trials and tribulations of moving from Commonwealth School of Law over in Lowell to Andover. And I remember being in a room with you and Diane Sullivan and Dick Ahern and Al Zappler, I believe my brother Kenny as well, and others, talking about the potential of changing the name of the law school. And I don't know what it was that day, but it struck me that the name should be Massachusetts School of Law. And I made that suggestion. Frankly, I was shocked to see that all of you agreed that that's what should be the name of the school. And so it's a tremendous thing these many years later that MSL's only thrived throughout the decades under your leadership. But your leadership really, to me, was the ability to keep us together as a unit, to, at all odds, overcome many obstacles to get accreditation here in the Commonwealth. But also the drive that you instilled in all of us to overcome obstacles. And that's something, not just in law, but in life, is so critical and something for us to always keep in mind throughout any hurdles that you face in life. Also, you had a great sense of humor, and I think that's something all of us in the law need. I'm going to tell you a great story. Recently on a trial I just did in Florida, I've been very lucky in my legal career to spend 10 years as a lawyer in Massachusetts and then relocate to Florida and be a lawyer in Florida for 13 years, and I was fortunate to be elected to the circuit bench in 2012, where I am now, in Sarasota, Florida. And this case recently happened, and I actually was thinking about you because of your sense of humor. I had a witness on the witness stand, and the witness was very combative with the lawyer. And the lawyer asked him a question, a critical question during the trial. It was a criminal trial. And the person turned to me and said, "Judge, the next answer to this question
May God strike me dead if I'm not telling the truth. And I, at that point, looked at him and said, I need to back up. So that will tell you the ability to be quick-witted, I think, is something that you instilled in others. And I think that's something we carry on throughout our careers. You always have to have an open mind. You always have to not... Of course, we're in the business of very serious matters as lawyers and judges, but you have to have a sense of humor. The drama that goes on in life, the issues of society that we face in the court system is something that we need the community involved. It's not just dropping off society's issues at the front door saying that we're going to cure it all in the court system. We're not. We need to work together as a community. And that's what you taught, a sense of a community to us, and to all of us that have come through this school. And it's critical that we give back. If you've had any kind of success, and it's relative to each individual what success really means. But to give back is critical as you grow older and I think in life and you go through different experiences. So once again, congratulations for an incredible career. You've accomplished so much and touched so many lives. And I was very, very blessed to cross paths with you. So I wish you very best. And of course, you'll be 90 miles south of me in Naples, Florida. Make sure we get together. All right, all the best. Hey, Larry, it's Kenny Lakin. Very great to be here on behalf of my law firm, Lakin & Lakin, and the great memories that I have here at MSL, being an MSL grad and also Boston College grad. But I wanted to say a few words to you, Larry, to thank you for your dedication, to thank you for your perseverance, to thank you for pushing us when days were hard. And we had a few hard days at the beginning there, but we had you and other people that supported us, including Diane Sullivan, Mike Coyne, John Lakin, Dick Ahern, and others that were very instrumental in the foundation of the school and literally building, and I remember stacking books myself and with other students back in the late 80s. I don't want to age myself too much, but going back a few decades, and it's been a great run. And because of you and your perseverance, you were very, very instrumental to have a core group that came out of MSL early, and then subsequently other students that went on to do very, very good things, including John Lakin becoming a judge and other lawyers being very successful, both civilly and criminal cases, whatever it may be, working in corporate America and other places, but not for your fortitude, your perseverance, and it's sometimes in very strict ways. I can remember that as well. But they were always in a good sense and well-meaning, and that was so instrumental for not only myself, but others that were with me. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that. It was very, very important. It was necessary. We needed a leader at that time, and you certainly took the reins, and I wish you nothing but the best in the future in your retirement. Hopefully you can get down to Florida and see my brother John down in Florida, hit a few golf balls, enjoy the good weather. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Dean Velvel, what can I say that Stephen hasn't already said? He is obviously said all of the things I would like to say, except for the fact that he came into the law school quite some time after I did. And when I started in 1988, the first freshman class, if you would put it that way, first year class, we were very concerned, and believe me, when I had conversations with my wife about this, that the school was not accredited. I could have, with many other students, I think there were 45 or so students at that time in that class, that were beginning a law school career, so to speak, without knowing whether or not we would ever get to practice or take the bar. It showed that the staff that you had and your persistence was something that we put an awful lot of faith in. And as it turned out, obviously now students are able to basically take the bar or opt into a bar in almost every state in the country. So it's been your efforts and that of the staff, Assistant Dean Coyne and soon to be Dean Coyne, I guess, was instrumental in that as well. I'd like to thank all of you for that. and for taking my son off of my hands for about 3 years. That was also greatly appreciated. He was busy studying as he should have been, and as it turns out, got better grades than I did. I want to thank you again and hope that the school continues the way it has been in the near future. Thanks.
Hi, this is Paula E. Metelliano coming to you from the library at Massachusetts School of Law, and I just wanted to thank Larry Velvel for allowing me to be a graduate of 1992, class of Massachusetts School of Law. I can say when I first met Larry, it was quite interesting. I thank him for taking the time to allow me to become a student and to actually graduate. I applied here back in November of 1989, and I was accepted. I went through the 2-week orientation program and became a full-time student at night in January of 1990, and I graduated in 1992. When I was here first, we were not even licensed, and I say we because we are a team here at MSL. We were not even licensed. And I knew that Larry and Mike and Phil and Tony and Diane would all do us well because they had all broken off from Commonwealth School of Law. And I knew that the dean would know everything not to do and everything what to do. So I had faith that this school would be licensed. And in fact, it was licensed, and I believe the first class that graduated was 1990. I followed in 1992. It was a wonderful experience learning and growing with the school from the old building to the new building to where it is today. I just want to thank Larry. Many cups of cheer and glasses of celebration will be lifted in your honor, Dean Velvel, and this is the cup I lift for you.
I first recall meeting Larry in sometime on or before August of 1990, I think it was. I can't believe it's been that long. But I had just come back from Michigan. I had visited a law school in Michigan. I was accepted there, and it was apparent to me that logistically it wasn't going to be able to work out. And my dad told me about a law school in Andover and that I should explore the possibility of attending. I was very excited at the prospect of a local law school in my own backyard. And I had an opportunity to sit and speak with Larry at an open house. And I remember telling him how grateful I was that the law school was in existence and that he had put us on the map and that I would have an opportunity to attend a local law school at a cost that I could afford. I recall Larry looking at me very directly and saying, well, you're no good to anyone unless you survive, and our intention is to survive. And here we are, what, approximately 25 years later, and not only are we in existence, but we're thriving and we're surviving beyond our wildest expectations. And we have really Larry to thank for that, for having the vision, the temerity, and the fight to make this school what it is. So Larry, Godspeed, and I thank you from the very bottom of my heart.
Hi, Larry. Can you believe that it has been more than almost 25 years since we were playing catch in the parking lot at MSL? I can't. I cherish those memories and so many others, first as a student and then as a colleague. And that's why it's an honor to be honoring you on this special landmark in your life. You know, I believe everyone should live their life on purpose, and you have. You dedicated yourself to making legal education accessible and affordable without compromising the academic integrity. And you did it. You built a team, you know, against odds and naysayers. You built this team that shared your vision. And not always every thought you had, but that really is the landmark of a good leader and the cornerstone of sustainability. And with that team, you went out there and you created an environment, not just an institution, an environment that allowed people to realize their potential and possibilities. And I'm the product of that environment, and very proud to be one of those people. And I also believe that people who live their life with such purpose want to leave a legacy. And now you are doing just that. As you step off the mound, if you will, and pass that ball to Michael, and by the way, great choice. Michael, congratulations. Could not be a better person to step up and take that role. Larry, you're leaving behind a part of yourself at MSL, and you're taking a part of all of us with you, too. And now you get to watch what you built grow and create more possibilities. So to steal a little baseball metaphor, you built it, and we came, and thank you for that. And best of luck to you and Louise. And now, maybe, you'll have a chance to play catch again. Take care, Larry.
So, if you know Larry, you'll know that he personifies the phrase sartorially splendid. Or, as someone once said, if he weren't a law school dean, he'd probably be posing as the well-dressed man on the cover of GQ magazine. If you know me, you know that I share Larry's affinity for fine men's clothing. So it made sense that the two of us would be sitting on a beach in our designer threads on Lake Winnipesaukee in mid-April 1994. The ABA lawsuit had been filed the previous autumn, and Larry had asked me to accompany him to his Guilford, New Hampshire digs to help him prepare for his deposition. As I recall, a few snowflakes fell as we sat on that beach for 3 or 4 hours. That winter, almost spring day. From the bottom up, Larry had on a pair of Birkenstocks, white socks, German-style leatherine pants, red suspenders, and a t-shirt with sleeves, and of course topped off by the Australian bush hat. Of course, the only thing that you could actually see was the bush hat, because he had a blanket draped over his body from the waist down, and a blue goose down filled blue parka from the waist up. Doesn't matter what I was wearing, but seeing as I'm a Swede, it was probably cut-off jeans and a hoodie. All in all, it was one of those moments that I will always cherish, because Larry was alternatively droll, irascible, avuncular, and pissed off. As some who are watching this probably know, you have to have a thick skin to sit with Larry for extended periods of time. Could be he wasn't mad at you, he might have been mad at the ABA, but sometimes it was honestly hard to tell. The point of all this is, thanks for all the memories, Larry. I'll always love you like a dad.
Oh yeah, Larry, and thanks for the great fashion advice.
So one of the things that's very special about having joined MSL is the way that we are such a family. And I remember very fondly back in the early years, I joined in 1998, when Larry and Louise would have us up to their house in Guilford, and we would go up for the whole weekend. There'd be a big cookout on Saturday, we'd have lobster on Friday night, we'd go outlet shopping, and we just really hung out and bonded, and that was really, really special. Obviously, MSL holds a place near and dear to my heart, not only because I work here, but I was a student here back in the early 90s. I met my husband here. Now I have a job here, and I just love it. So Larry, thank you for starting the school. Thank you for everything you've done, and I wish you the best in your retirement.
So when I was graduating from Franklin Marshall College, I went up to one of my professors, and I asked him, I said, I want to go to law school. And he looked at me and said, Barry, law school is not for everybody. And most people probably would have said, yeah, maybe it's not going to work. But there was one place that I applied that I thought maybe would take a chance on me, and that was Massachusetts School of Law. And that was Larry Velvel's vision, his dream. And not only did it give me a great education, but I didn't come out of there broke. It is what legal education should be. It is what's right about what higher education should be. And Dean Velvel gave us that vision. He gave a lot of us the chance. I think about all the things I've been able to do. Now we have one of the largest law firms in the Merrimack Valley, if not the North Shore. We have partners who went to Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, and I'm just a kid from the Mass School of Law. But if Larry Velvel didn't have that vision, if he wasn't willing to take a chance on people like me, I don't know where I would be right now. So I just want to say a million thanks. Thank you for being bold. Thank you for going against the grain And thank you for saying, while everyone's telling you that you were wrong, I want to tell you something, you were right. And we're all the beneficiaries of all your hard work and your vision. So thank you, Larry. And here's to some great years of retirement. I'm sure you're going to be busy doing some fun things, writing stuff and being contradictory, and like you always will be. But like I said, you've done a lot of great things for us, and we just want to say thank you.
Dean Velvel, congratulations. The American dream is still alive thanks to you. I was born in Lebanon in 1971, but sometime in the middle of the 20th century, Justice Douglas was traveling in the Middle East, and he met my grandfather. You helped fulfill my family's dream in bringing a lawyer to our family. In 1993, I graduated from Holy Cross, inundated with $60,000 in student debt. A local attorney suggested I come and take a tour of the Massachusetts School of Law. Instantly, the law school is a family setting. I didn't even know for 2 years that Louise Rose was your wife. She always said hello to me, and we would talk almost daily. I think I ran into you once. But let me tell you something that you probably already know. For 2 decades, law schools have saying that they need to revise their curriculum and the way students prepare for the real workforce and day-to-day interactions when they become a lawyer. But in fact, you're a contrarian and a visionary, a pioneer. You knew how law school should be organized. You're a trendsetter, and you're about 25 years ahead of all of your peers. So I say to you, thank you for allowing me to fulfill my dreams, serve the public, and the many clients I've had. One last note that you should know. I've recently been nominated to be the secretary of the Massachusetts Academy of Trial Attorneys, and I believe I'll be one of the first graduates of this law school to be the president in 4 years of the Massachusetts Academy of Trial Attorneys. Thank you for all you've done for me and so many others. Congratulations. Enjoy your retirement.
Dean Velvel, I am honored to be able to sit here and thank you from the bottom of my heart for the career that you have provided based on your vision and just the benefits that have come from my time and experience at MSL. I knew from the moment I walked into the school to interview that it was a place that I would want to spend my time to learn a profession that I couldn't even imagine it would turn out to be the way that it has and the way that life has ended up playing out. So again, because of your vision, all of these things have come come true in my world. And again, thank you so much for all you have done and the tone that you set with the school for the students who go on to graduate from the school and have great careers as a result. Thank you.
Dean Velvel. There are only 2 things that I never understood after graduating from the Mass School of Law. I never got the rule against perpetuities, and I never understood what you did with that $750 building fee that you collected from all the students who entered here. I hope it was something good. Anyway, I know you have a sense of humor because you admitted me as a student, and then you asked me to come back here and hired me to teach. So I know you have a sense of humor, either that or you've completely lost your wits. That's up for debate. But what I wanted to say seriously is I really appreciate the opportunity to have gone here as a student and the opportunity to teach here at Mass School of Law. It was a very rewarding experience. But mostly, for giving me the opportunity, like thousands of other students that you gave, access to a legal education that I might not otherwise have had. You've left a tremendous legacy. Thank you very much and congratulations.
My first interaction with Dean Velvel occurred as a student, and he would sit outside spring, summer, fall, except for the winter, and I would come in and say good morning, and he would kind of nod and wave, and I'd go on my way, and I'd go home at night, and he'd be out there, and I'd say good night, and he'd nod and wave, and I'd go on my way, and this proceeded for the next 3.5 years that I was a student. Cut to the future, I'm now an employee at Mass School of Law. My first interaction with Dean Velvel as an employee was in the cafeteria where the staff would all sit together at lunch and I would come out as a newbie and go sit at another table. And Dean Velvel would walk over and he'd say, "Arvie, you can come and sit with us. You're one of us now." And he'd proceed to his table. This went on for probably about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, and finally one day I went over and sat down before he got there. And he came to the table and he said, look who is sitting with us today. And that, it sort of is the relationship I've had with Dean Velvel, kind of on the light side, until we got talking one day and we both realized, or I realized, that we both enjoyed history, and especially the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln, but history in general. So we've had a great many conversations with respect to books that we've read, books that we've shared, our feelings about different historical events. And that has been my most warmest memory of Dean Velvel at this point, is that interaction that I've had with him. He's always made me feel part of the staff, made me feel welcome. And as a graduate, I really like to thank him for this school. I'm a Buffalo born and raised girl, and I sold everything to come here to go to MSL once I learned about the school. And I'm very grateful for Dean Velvel's vision in enabling me to have the education and the law degree that I wanted since I was 9 years old. So I deeply want to thank Dean Velvel for all he's done for MSL.
Good evening, Larry. Thank you. Not many people know this, but after my second semester at MSL, I was giving serious thought to dropping out and going back to my job at Southern Connecticut. You were kind enough and nice enough to help create a position for me here at MSL. It was an act of kindness that I've never forgotten. And for the last 10 years, I've been working at MSL, and every day I've been trying to repay you and MSL the kindness that you showed me. As a proud graduate of MSL and a believer in the ideals and principles you helped set forth when starting Massachusetts School of Law and fought fiercely for all those years ago. You changed the lives of over 3,000 people who proudly wave the MSL flag high. To us, it's more than just a brick building. It's where you helped us make our dreams come through. Thank you.
Dean Velvel, thank you very much for the opportunities that you have afforded myself and so many others like me, and all the families that you have helped support and the people whose dreams you've helped make true at this school. I remember I was in my second semester of law school when I had my first article published in the National Jurist, and I walked in the following week to go to class. I was still a law student, obviously, and there are these signs up that say, Ursula Fury Perry, come see the dean immediately. And my heart went a little bit still, and I don't think I ever lived that down. I was known as the student that had to go to the principal's office for the rest of my time here. But, you know, come to find out it was only because Dean Velvel, you wanted to talk to me about the articles and the writing plans that I had in place, and that was a great moment for me. So, but thank you for everything that you've done, and best of luck on your retirement. Take care.
Truthfully, I think the only reason Larry hired me was to play for the faculty softball team. But little did he know I had actually stopped playing softball years before our interview. All kidding aside, I want to thank Larry tremendously for inviting me to join the MSL family. Larry, what you've accomplished here is truly remarkable, and I admire your willingness to persevere and create a special place for students and faculty alike. You'll always hold a special place in my heart, and I wish you the very best in retirement.
When I think of my time here at MSL with Larry Velvel, I go back to one of what has to be one of my most memorable moments here at Massachusetts School of Law, and that's serving as a student trustee. Larry approached me and invited me to serve as a student trustee, and it turned out to be one of the most unique experiences I've had here at MSL. I got the chance to meet a wonderful group of people who served as co-trustees and be part of a process where the trustees were looking to discuss new ideas for the school and continue new improvements, and to have a seat at the table as a student and be part of that change was just a wonderful opportunity. That experience and opportunity then led to another opportunity for me here at MSL, and that's what we're all about here at MSL, is creating opportunities as becoming an adjunct faculty member. And now I get to continue the vision of not only Larry, but our other founding fathers and partners here at the school, as well as the Board of Trustees, and continue to educate the young minds and young lawyers who will soon be great lawyers out practicing. So for that, I say thank you, Larry Velvel.
One of the things I really liked about MSL was the mock trial competitions. I knew that when I first came to MSL that their mock trial team was really good. I had seen promos, I had heard that they were nationally ranked year after year, and I wanted to be a part of the winning tradition. So when I first came into MSL, I really wanted to be a part of the team. One of my most memorable moments with the mock trial competition was when I was part of the National Thurgood Marshall mock trial competition. That was in Washington, D.C. Back in 2012. And I remember trying my very last case, at the Federal District Court of Washington, D.C., of my law school career. And I remember looking up in the courtroom and thinking to myself, wow, this is awesome, and I will never forget this. And I know that this wouldn't be possible without Dean Velvel's vision. And I especially want to thank him, and as well as Professor Coyne, because I know there were a lot of long hours that we put in, a lot of nights, a lot of weekends that we really put into those cases, and I really thank him for that, and it made me a better advocate, and I wouldn't be where I am today without that experience. So thank you very much.
Hi, Dean Velvel. I just wanted to say thank you so much for making this school a second home for me for the last, I don't know, 25, 26 years of my life. And I'm really indebted to you because I'm about to be a graduate of this school as well, 25 years later. So thanks for always making this place feel like home. Thanks for making this community feel like a place that you want to be. I'll never forget the first time that I went to a softball game, the student-faculty softball game, and you were pitching. And back in the Bancroft school days, you had this incredible move to second base where you'd release the ball on a pitch just right behind you, fire it to second base, fire a strike. And I always thought, man, that is so cool. And it was hard because that place was renowned for its playground. And for the rest of the day, I didn't want anything to do with the Dragon's Lair. I just wanted to see you throw that pitch again. So that's the earliest memory I have of being around this place. And even then, it felt like a home. 25 years later, it feels the same. So thanks for creating that environment, and thanks for giving everybody else an opportunity to see what this place is about.
When I first met the dean, I was very nervous because of his reputation. But I remember it clearly, like it was yesterday. He was seated in his office. As I walked by, I stopped and I stood by his door. I looked at him, he looked back. Then I smiled at him, he smiled back. Then I waved at him, and he waved back. I didn't know what to do next, but he did. He got up and closed the door. But since coming to MSL, the dean has opened the door for many of us, and I want to thank Dean Velvel on behalf of the faculty, staff, and student body for being the catalyst in forming MSL into a uniquely innovative law school, making it possible for many of us to realize our dreams. And for this, we are truly grateful. Enjoy your well-deserved retirement.
Hi, Larry. I'm proud and privileged to do this, I guess you could call it an homage to your 25 years, or over 25 years as Dean of MSL, and coincidentally, my association with you for that amount of time almost, okay? Now, because you're not here, I can speak frankly. Larry, you have an infectious personality. I'm not saying that you're excessive compulsive. Well, maybe I am saying that. You are excessive compulsive, but it's contagious. An example, I had a mild fascination with the history of the Civil War. You had the same fascination, but you took it to a whole new level, and you and I really went crazy on the Civil War. I just kind of went along for the ride. But it has affected my ability here at the law school. Maybe you're not aware of this. An example, you know how students want to come in and they want to talk about a case. Maybe they want to talk about Paul's Graph versus Long Island Railroad. It's a tort case, but I remember my torts, and I reach for my handy volume of Prosser on torts, and what do I find? Civil War battlefields. Well, because of you, Larry, I don't know anything about proximate cause, but I can speak for hours on the Battle of Chickamauga. Another student might come in and want to speak about a contract case, meeting of the minds, you know, two ships peerless. So I reach for my copy of Williston on Contracts, and what do I find? Commanders of the Civil War. I can't find Williston on Contracts. I can talk ad nauseum about Meade and Lee and the Battle of Gettysburg, but I haven't got a clue about meeting of the minds or anything they have to do with that area of the law. frankly, Larry, because of you, I don't know shit from shinola about whether or not I should expect to find fish bones in my fish stew, but I can speak for volumes on what happened at Gettysburg and the various little battles that took place during the three-day battle. But that's what happens when you're involved with somebody that has your kind of personality, which is not necessarily a bad thing. On the more serious side, you have affected me in other ways also. You know, when I started teaching law here, I was a fairly successful lawyer, but I really wasn't that happy. But I've been happy every single day I've come to work at MSL. I found the job fulfilling, and it's been a real joy and a pleasure to work with you during that time. As far as our little Civil Works trip, you remember our trip to Gettysburg. You know, Larry, I've walked the streets of Rome. I've swum the Pacific and the Atlantic and the Caribbean and the Mediterranean. I've skied the Alps and I've skied the Rockies. But all the trips I've taken, that's one that's right up there in the top, at least the top 3 in my entire life. I can't imagine anyone who I would have enjoyed that trip more with than you. Together, we seemed to have a simpatico while we were walking those battlefields and talking about the various actions and what was taking place, almost as though we had always been there, had already been there. So, and that was a great trip. And you're a terrific person, both inside the school and outside the school, as I can attest to. Now, don't be a stranger. You're not that far away from us here. And I guarantee you, when the Cubbies come to town, I'm coming into Boston to get you, and we're going to a game. Good luck.
Hello, Larry. Over 25 years ago was when we first met. I came up to Dundee Park, where the school was located, and interviewed with you for an adjunct position, a teaching position. And we had a nice chat. And towards the end of our chat, you said to me, Joe, well, actually, you said, Joe, you remind me of me. Unfortunately for me, Larry, that's not really true. There are really only 3 things that we have in common. The first is our deep and abiding affection for the school's registrar, Ms. Rose. The second is our deep and abiding hatred of meetings. 25 years worth of meetings, Larry. And I thank you for keeping them as infrequent as possible, as short as possible, and as interesting as possible. 25 years ago, really all you had at that time was a vision of a low-cost, high-quality, practical legal education for those who had been for decades shut out of legal education. And the establishment, Larry, they had a word for you, a Yiddish word. They called you Meshuggah, which translated as, you're crazy, you're insane. And there were a lot of people that thought you were. And now that 25 years have gone by, it turns out you've succeeded. And on behalf of my family, myself, and the countless others whose lives you have touched and improved with your untiring dedication to achieving your vision, I salute you. Now there's one other thing that we have in common, and that is Brandeis University. I'm a Brandeis grad, and you're the father of a Brandeis grad, so I get to use another Yiddish word to describe you. You're not Meshuggah, Larry. Instead, you're a mensch, a true, honorable, decent, wise man. And for all of those reasons, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you.
Hello, Larry. Rather than make some off-the-cuff comments about your impact on the legal profession, the law school, and each of us individually, I'd like my tribute to take the form of an ode to one of my heroes, a legend of legal education. A lion savors twilight, by Peter Malaguti, Poet Laureate of the Massachusetts School of Law, self-appointed, of course. The wind was a plunderer's chariot, cavorting the parking lot. The sun, a surgeon's weapon, all lurid and golden and hot. The road oozed out musty black licorice, a miasma of dank and dark, as Velvel ambled into Andover to take his place at Dundee Park. A cocked Australian bush hat, shaded neat beard upon his face. 'Twas festooned in red suspenders to hold up the shorts in their place. Yet in spite of his ramshackle manner, he most certainly wasn't a schlock, though folks found this hard to imagine as they glanced down at Birkenstocks. The man had arrived on a mission, clear as croquis holding lenses to his head. He set out to reform legal education, make it no longer for only purebred. The bar must be open to all races, to all classes and immigrants of all kind. Social mobility was his mantra, inclusiveness his peace of mind. So he assembled a cadre of tadpoles, young lawyers who hadn't reached prime, and they joined the crusade by starting a school, lest there be no upward mobility climb. With Velvel afore, they set to their task, though they knew they faced many steep hills. But motives were pure and focus was sharp. No, they weren't just tipping at windmills. Oh, the obstacles faced, they were many, and the odds stacked against them were high, as some powerful forces assembled, with hopes they'd watch MSL die. One was a powerful senator. Moved to Lowell, he insisted with clout. So when Velvel said no to his cronies, he went, tried to get them to take MSL out. Another professional scammer commanded a nearby law school. And everyone know only one could survive. So the schools, they were locked in a duel. But when MSL started to prosper, the scammer tried one more time to confound. But his odds, they were thin, so he threw the chips in, tried to burn MSL down to the ground. Of course, the ABA had to enter the fray. Its rules surely would do MSL in, rigid, prescriptive, unpedagogical, and restrictive. With such rules, how could poor MSL win? Aye, the rules favored pampered professors, make their teaching lives easy and lush, but an innovative model where profs do not dawdle. These rules would be certain to crush. Still, there was hope for MSL. For good programs, the rules mentioned waiver. Such a chance to explain put us right in the game. Accreditation we would soon savor. But not even once given, this waiver was a charade. 'Twas just to look pretty in books. For in the end, the ABA did turn out to be just another in a long line of crooks. You'd think that our Velvel'd be broken, another victim of society's pigs. But MSL, it still prospered, even moved into new Federal Street digs, with graduates now in the thousands and alumni all over the place. Achievements abound because you've been around. We all have our dear school to embrace. My friend, it's been a fabulous journey, one that I have been honored to share. Despite the skeptics, the jaded, the doubters, and cynics, it's good that some people still care. You've made it possible for us all to have a nice life, and for that, we can never repay. But most important, of course, are the lawyers we made, ones the ABA would throw away. When a man looks back at his actions, essays what has gone wrong and gone right, he's often his very worst critic, thinks his accomplishments are but slight. But when you think back on this journey, wondering whether achievements were dear, please just remember only one thing. We are all very glad that you're here.
Hello, Larry. I want to tell you about two events that changed my career and ultimately my life. The first event was when I answered an advertisement in the Massachusetts Lawyers Weekly seeking adjunct faculty members for a brand new law school, and I thought it might be fun to teach a course at some law school somewhere. So I responded to the ad, and frankly I came to Andover prepared to be unimpressed by what I would find But after 45 minutes of talking with you and Mike, I was not unimpressed. I was impressed. I went away from that interview saying these guys have an agenda for legal education. They know what they want to do, and it's an agenda that is in large part responsive to what I consider to be the shortcomings of my own my own ultra-orthodox legal education, which I had come to conclude after 20 years was poor preparation for the actual practice of law. And so when I was offered the opportunity to teach a course in contracts, I agreed to do it, and I had a little class of 22 students, and I so much enjoyed that class in contracts. The reason I chose contracts, by the way, was because contracts had been my hardest subject as a first-year law student, and I thought maybe I could do it better the second time around. At any rate, at the same time, we were being inspected by what was then called the Board of Regents of Higher Education, and they came and did a walkthrough, not their formal inspection, but did a walkthrough, and that resulted in a report which noted mildly unfavorably the practice of allowing adjunct faculty to teach first-year courses, which they noted was not standard in American legal education. And when I saw that, I was so depressed at the thought that I might not get another chance to teach the course in contracts that I realized I was sending myself a message, and that at almost 50 years old, I should listen to that message. So when Mike came to me and asked if I could teach a summer school course called Restitution, I said, give me a case book, I can teach anything. I no longer believe that, by the way. But I did teach the summer school course, and then in the fall, Mike came to me and said, Tom, you've done a lot of land use litigation. Could you teach environmental law? Well, it so happened that I had been representing a serious polluter, and I had had some exposure to environmental law, so I agreed to teach environmental law. And then the spring semester came around, and I did get a second chance to teach the contracts course, and by the end of that semester, I was ready to think seriously about a career change, and I asked if I could come and talk to you. And you pointed out from your much broader experience in legal education that if you go looking for work teaching law, you put yourself on a national market. And if the job offer comes from Emory, you'd move your family to Atlanta. Well, that didn't particularly appeal to me. There is a law firm in Boston that advertises on the radio, knowing the lay of the land as well as the law. Well, after 20 years practicing law in Boston, I knew the lay of the land pretty well, and I was reluctant to think about abandoning that. And then you asked me, would you consider teaching here? And I said, hell yes. That's the only law school in America where they already know who I am, and one of the few where my credentials would be acceptable. 20 years in the practice of law, but little or no, or very little in the way of published legal scholarship. And that was the beginning, Larry, of 25 good years in this place for me. And you made it happen. I am not a plank owner, strictly speaking, in this school because I didn't start teaching until the second semester that was open. And I started as an adjunct faculty member rather than a full-time faculty member. But my memory of this place very well goes back to the time when the only thing on the agenda was survival. And you made this place survive and prosper. It was thanks to your leadership, not only in legal education, but your leadership as a hard-headed business person, sticking to a business model which is not dependent upon gifts, not dependent upon grants, not dependent upon inclusion within a larger academic institution, not dependent on borrowed money, not dependent on alumni fundraising, and is therefore a business model which is therefore well fitted for the present unfavorable economic climate for legal education in this country generally. And for all of that, I thank you because you made it happen.
Hi, Larry. It's me. Got a limerick for you. It's clean, don't worry. There once was a lawyer named Velvel who said starting a law school's a hard sell. We'll teach them with rigor, charge tuition no bigger than we have to, and thus was born MSL. With a vision and a mission so clever, He fought the naysayers who said, no, not never. Future lawyers with dreams that were realized, it seems. He's left his mark on legal education forever. Be good, be well, don't be a stranger.
When I first came to MSL, more than 20 years ago, as an adjunct writing instructor, there were few formalities. There was no real introduction to other faculty or staff, no ceremony, no other amenities. But the people I found myself dealing with were almost universally helpful, kind, friendly. I didn't have much occasion to deal with Dean Velvel at that time, but I would pass him occasionally or see him in his office or just outside of his office or in the front office. And on a couple of occasions as I passed him, I said hello. And as I was fond of telling friends, I said hi twice and he grunted once. He was sort of the epitome of the absent-minded professor. Since that time, I've had occasion to get to know Larry and Louise somewhat better and have been thoroughly impressed with the dedication and generosity of spirit that both of them exhibit. It was not at all unusual to be talking to someone on the faculty or the staff of the school and have them tell a story about how they or someone they knew who was in need had been quietly helped by Larry or Louise with no attempt to get any credit or anything else in return. It has been a complete pleasure for me and a joy for me to be able to work here at MSL at the place that they built. They'll hear me say it again, but let me say it here first. Thanks.
Dean, congratulations on your retirement and 25 years plus service at MSL. I remember meeting you for the first time in 1991 when I first came to MSL at the Dundee Park location for an interview. Towards the end of the interview, I remember you asked me if I had any questions. My only question at the time was to find out about MSL's long-term goal. I remember you clearly stated MSL's vision and mission. Your mission has helped so many students who would not have otherwise had a chance to attend law school. During the last 24 years of my service here, I had the opportunity to speak with so many of our graduates regarding their experience at MSL. There was one voice that clearly stood out. MSL gave them the opportunity to come to law school, and that changed their lives forever. Please enjoy your retirement. I know your passion for reading and traveling will help you to escape any boredom you may face. Thank you, as always, for being there for me. You will be greatly missed. I hope you keep in touch. Once again, congratulations. I wish you the very best as your next chapter begins.
Hi, everybody. On behalf of the staff and faculty and the professors and Mike Coyne and myself, I want to wish Larry good luck in his retirement, and I have a little song dedication for him. I hope you like it. I knew the stakes were high right from the start. When she dealt my cards, I filled my heart. But now I found a game that I can't play. This is where the cowboy rides away. And my heart is sinking like a sailing sun, setting all the things I wish I'd done. It's time to say goodbye to yesterday. This is where the cowboy rides away. We've been in and out of love and in between, and now we play the final showdown scene. As the credits roll, the sad song starts to play. This is where the cowboy rides away, and my heart is sinking like a sailing sun, setting all the things I wish I'd done. It's time to say goodbye to yesterday. This is where the cowboy rides away. Oh, the last goodbyes are hardest one to say. This is where the cowboy rides away. Oh, the last goodbyes are hardest one to say. This is where Larry rides away.